Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link to my Patreon page in the upper right hand corner. I'm here again with my Simic Merfolk build. I uploaded a deck tech video for you guys yesterday. It's extremely aggressive. I've been really enjoying it. I'm sure I'll want to tweak it at some point, but so far all of the cards have just been doing a great job. I love having 4 Harbingers. I love having 4 Metallic Mimics. I feel like some of you guys haven't given that card as much of a chance as it deserves. It can really lead to explosive turns 3 and 4. Alright, so here I am with a replay of a Modern Q. Let's have a look at the opening hand. I was on the play, so that's great. And this is a really beautiful opening hand. Actually, it's a super traditional Merfolk opening hand. Harkens back to the days where we were running Spell Pierce regularly in the main. Got 2 basic islands, Aether Vial, a few Merfolk. Got some tempo going with the Cursecatcher and the Spell Pierce. So we see a Polluted Delta. Immediately makes me think of Grixis Death Shadow. So the opponent, depending on what they're on, could have something like a Spell Snare here, but if they do, we've got Cursecatcher up. So I'm going to play the Silvergill and actually reveal the Master of the Pearl Trident here, just to keep the Cursecatcher back as a bit of a trick. So Metallic Mimic is beautiful. All we want is to aggro the opponent out. So next turn we're going to have a bunch of creatures on the board. Okay, it looks like they're going for Thought Scour here, which puts them really squarely on Grixis Death Shadow. So they're still playing Serum Visions, not on full opt build. So another Serum Visions. Let's go ahead and open up the chat and see what they do with this. So you see bottom, and feels good. Maybe they're digging for land. They cycle a Street Wraith and land a Scalding Tarn, which they sack immediately, getting another Watery Grave, an interesting choice, and Thoughtseize. So I'm going to counter this with Cursecatcher. Cursecatcher and Aether Vial, quite a combo. It doesn't come up all the time, but it's great when it does. That's going to allow me to keep my Spell Pierce and my 2 more powerful creatures in hand. Alright, so Aether Vial gonna tick up to 2. Land is okay here. Lets me play a 2-drop and leave up Spell Pierce. So get Mimic out, and I think I'm just gonna push here. The opponent is already below 13 life, which is when we want to start stepping on the gas. Alright, so swing with the Silvergill Adept. Opponent probably doesn't have any choice, just has to take 3 damage there. And let's see, they just start the turn with a Fatal Push. They didn't play a land. So I've got the Spell Pierce. This is exactly what it's for here. So the deck just working like a machine here. We're going to get a Breeding Pool. Would you like to pay 2 life? Sure. But oh my god. So during that game, I misclicked. And I said, no, I would not like to pay 2 life for Breeding Pool. So, what a huge mistake that is. I mean, and that's a blunder that would never ever happen in real life. You would just slam that Breeding Pool right onto the table. There's no question that I want to pay 2 life. Like, why would I fetch in response to Fatal Push? So, misclick, which might just lose me the game. My Lord is going to die when I could have saved him. And he's a 3/3. Miserable. Absolutely miserable. I apologize for that, guys. Oh, sweet Jesus. Fatal Pushing my Metallic Mimic too. Oh. So if I had cast that Spell Pierce, they would have had to use 2 Fatal Pushes to kill the Lord. I would have still had the Mimic on the table. And I would have been swinging for 4 this turn. Oh, and I drew a Lord. I would have been swinging for 6 this turn. Let's slam this Lord. Whatever, swing for 3. I was a little bit tilted here. But I'm learning how to use Shock Lance better. That's the upside, right? Get the Aether Vial out, who cares? What does the opponent have? Inquisition, I don't care. Spell Pierce, deal with it. So here's a Death Shadow, and if we had swung that turn for 6, the opponent would have been totally toast this turn because I would have had 6 with Island Walk instead of just 3 with Island Walk. So we draw an island. I'm going to swing for 3 and just pass the turn and hope that I don't lose the game because of a misclick. The opponent just plays a Scalding Tarn. They've got 4 cards in hand. What are my outs here? If I draw an Island Walk Lord, that definitely increases my chances of winning this turn. I could draw something like a Silvergill into an Island Walk Lord. I could draw something like a Spreading Seas into an Island Walk Lord. I could draw a Spell Snare. Harbinger is decent because it slows down their attacks. But Spell Pierce isn't the best because if the opponent has another Fatal Push, they've got mana up now to pay for it. But if they have something like Terminate or Kolaghan's Command, then Spell Pierce would be live. Oh, so there was a Spell Pierce. So again, a little bit tilted, just go straight to combat. Swing with the Silvergill. Opponent is cracking that Scalding Tarn, so making me think they need access to all their mana. But just an island. I guess that's kind of their only choice. They could have gotten a swamp. Okay, this is so good because they're gonna go for the Fatal Push, and I've got the Spell Pierce. So my deck kind of blessed me there, forgiving me for misclicking with the Breeding Pool. Opponent seemed to have a hard time understanding that he had to let Snapcaster's ability resolve there. So goes for the Fatal Push. I go for the Spell Pierce, and we take the opponent to -1 life. Oof, that was really scary because this was the first time I played against Grixis Death Shadow with this build, and it was doing great. I had the Spell Pierce ready, and then I just didn't. I brought the stupid land in tapped. As you saw, I would have won a turn earlier if I had actually cast the Spell Pierce on time. So anyhow, we got there. Look away if you don't want to see the match result. I'm going to click out of this window now. Back for game 2. The opponent's going to be on the play. I'm going to be on the draw. And, you know, on the draw, this is sort of okay. It's not as explosive as this deck wants to be. So I actually mulliganed, which is bold. I think I'm learning that the deck gives me lands. And I hit a much better hand, actually. Harbinger is a critical piece of interaction in this matchup. Cursecatcher will keep them off of Kolaghan's Command, while Aether Vial gets live to get Harbinger live. So this is a beautiful 6. Very happy with that mulligan, actually. It was a difficult decision, and it paid off. Harbinger's going to stay on the top. I want 2 of those guys. All right, we see a Serum Visions. We have to open up the chat again. Okay, we see bottom top. Pretty typical. And there's that second Harbinger. Let's go ahead and play out Mutavault into Aether Vial. Now, the reason I did Mutavault is if the opponent takes our our Silvergill with a Thoughtseize next turn, we can attack with the Mutavault. Though in some instances against Death Shadow, it's not correct to attack with Mutavault. We typically want to go kind of slow until they're around 13 life, and then start applying pressure. We don't want to help them get to Death Shadow. So another Serum Visions, actually mismatched Serum Visions, I think. And again, going bottom top, passing the turn with Polluted Delta up. I take Aether Vial up, and Relic is pretty solid. But he didn't take Silvergill, so I'm definitely going to take this opportunity to play the Silvergill. I'm going to reveal Harbinger because I don't want to give away Cursecatcher. If the opponent slams a land and tries to Kolaghan's Command next turn, countering that would just be a huge deal. Okay, so Breeding Pool is decent. Third land is not terrible. Just going to pass the turn here. Polluted Delta, taking him down to 15 for a Blood Crypt, and pushing my Silvergill. No problem with that. I'm going to let that resolve. Silvergill is more valuable because we're trying to defend against Kolaghan's Command. Thoughtseize, yeah, whatever. I'm going to put the Cursecatcher in, though, because, again, Kolaghan's Command can be a blowout. If the opponent's stuck on 3 lands, Cursecatcher keeps him off of it. So go ahead, take a Harbinger, take the Relic, whatever you want to do. Okay, took the Relic. Makes me think he might have access to a Snapcaster. Okay, Dispel is beautiful. Counter magic is wonderful in this matchup. As you saw, it actually won me game 1. So play the Breeding Pool. I think I'm going to activate Mutavault here, especially since I've got Dispel back up. If the opponent wants to trade a Snapcaster for the Mutavault, that's fine by me. But he's Thought Scouring. Let's see. Drew a card. Sacrificing the Bloodstained Mire. Now, looks like he's trying to push the Mutavault. Now, I don't really want to let that happen. So I sack the Cursecatcher because the opponent's tapped out. Again, counter magic is really, really valuable. Cursecatcher's not always live. So if you have the option between using a card in hand or sacking the Cursecatcher, you almost always want to sack the Cursecatcher to take advantage of its ability while it is live. So that felt pretty good, actually. So moving into combat, then I am going to swing for 2. Opponent's going to go down to 10. They drew a card, and it looks like just passed the turn. So Lord is very nice here. I can't really play it right now. I could bring it in with Aether Vial. That might be a good option here. So what are we seeing here? So Snapcaster. The thought going into combat was he took the Relic, so likely have access to Snapcaster. Of course, I have Dispel up, attack, make the opponent feel like he can snap, push my Mutavault. Or if I bring in a Lord, he can push my Lord and then block the Mutavault. But I've got the Dispel, which is really the trump card here. Really don't like using that word trump, so I'll try to use a different word in the future. So bring the Lord in, make the opponent think. Oh, so in response, he tries to path the Mutavault. That's interesting. Maybe he thought I had like a 2-mana Kira or something like that. We'll Dispel the push, bring the Lord in. You're going to take the opponent down to 7, and feeling pretty good. The opponent doesn't have any Death Shadows down yet, so bringing their life total down is exactly what we want to be doing. There is the Death Shadow. Opponent should get in with Snapcaster there, I think, but chooses not to. Silvergill is very nice. Of course, we can't just attack here because the opponent has 2 mana up. Very easy for them to remove the Lord and eat our Mutavault. So I'm going to just open with Silvergill here. The opponent already knows I have a Harbinger in hand. Reveal that guy, and Cursecatcher's okay. Let's play that guy. Now, something you have to look out for in games 2 and 3 against Grixis Death Shadow is Flaying Tendrils. It's like -2/-2 to all the creatures. So I'm setting myself for a bit of a blowout, but they haven't been hitting a lot of land drops. It's a 3-drop, and I've got Cursecatcher now to protect me against that, actually. So it makes sense to play the Cursecatcher out against the threat of that card. It also makes sense to get a Cursecatcher on board, as I mentioned earlier, to protect against Kolaghan's Command, which can be a big blowout against us. All right, so we just have to pass the turn, but we've got really good attacks next turn as it stands. Okay, so the opponent is terminating my Cursecatcher, which makes me think they might have that Flaying Tendrils next turn, or Kolaghan's Command. It made me quite scared, a bit frustrated. Opponent plays a Steam Vent for 2. Thought Scouring. So interesting. What are they doing? There goes a Liliana of the Last Hope. Oh, okay. All right, so they did have the wipe, the board wipe. That's Kozilek's Return. Now, the opponent knows that I have the Harbinger in hand, so they probably don't want to bounce. They probably don't want to attack because I'll just bounce this guy. So I was reading into the fact that they killed the Cursecatcher. Absolutely no reason to bring the Harbinger in. I was thinking the guy might attack with the big Death Shadow before the board wipe. Try to get some sort of a chump block or something, reevaluate the board state. He went for it ahead of time. So if he attacked, it would have been safe to bounce him with the Harbinger. But if he attacked first, I would have just taken the damage, or rather chump blocked or something, because I was looking out for that board wipe. And I don't want to get Harbinger swept away, even if it means bouncing the Death Shadow. So in this case, I think the opponent chose not to attack. So I'm definitely going to bring in one of these Harbingers, and a Lord off the top just means GG, because I've got Mutavault and another body on the table now, with the opponent at 5. And we hit it, so no thought involved, just get the Lord in, activate Mutavault, and attack. Opponent, take that, -1, booyah. Alright, so even though I messed up Spell Pierce in game 1 a little bit, I managed to get there by the skin of my teeth, and pretty easy in game 2. So not sure if the opponent is really experienced or not, but we did manage to get there against one of the top decks in the format, Grixis Death Shadow. Let me know your guys' thoughts. This Simic build has felt awesome so far. Don't knock Metallic Mimic until you've really tested it and given it a good shot. I feel like some of the people who have been giving me feedback on this list have been telling me that Mimic is too slow, etc. You have to understand it in the context of this build. Mimic is not designed to be an amazing turn 8 top deck, right? If we've gotten to turn 8, even with mono blue Merfolk, we're typically not doing too well, right? I mean, the deck is designed to win before then. And this deck is designed to win way before then. Like, we want to win on turn 4, turn 5, maybe turn 6. And if you have Metallic Mimic on turn 2, it radically increases your chances of doing that. All of your creatures after Mimic get bigger, and they stay bigger, which means once they remove the Mimic, you still have big creatures. Follow up with an Island Walk Lord, attack with those big creatures, and the damage is just outside of what we're used to in Merfolk. If you played a Mimic on turn 2, it stuck around. You play a Branchwalker, instead of coming in as a 3/2, it comes in as a 4/3. You play a Kumena Speaker, comes in as a 3/3. They get rid of the Mimic. Later, we drop an Island Walk Lord. Now you're dealing with a 4/4 and a 5/4. I mean, Island Walk, you're swinging for 9 with a 2-drop and a 1-drop. So I feel that Mimic is perfect in this really aggressive 1-drop and 2-drop build of Merfolk. And yeah, again, I just urge you guys to give it a fair shake before judging it. A lot of you have been talking about Phantasmal Image. I just don't think that card's so great. I played against Bant Humans recently. Phantasmal Image would have died to a Reflector Mage trigger. It dies to everything. It dies to Regery triggers. Just dies to silly stuff. So even though I know that Phantasmal Image can win games, it's a very, very good Magic card. It's amazing in Merfolk Legacy because we have True Name Nemesis, which effectively just cancels out the Phantasmal Image's downside. It's an excellent card, but I don't like it. So you guys can stop suggesting that I play Phantasmal Image because I'm over it. I tested it, probably for a year or something in a previous build of Mono Blue, and just realized, sort of like running 19 lands in Mono Blue, the card just didn't feel like a good fit. So very happy with the 4 Harbingers, very happy with the 4 Mimics so far. I'm always open to observing interactions and developments in games and making revisions to the deck. But so far, all of my observations have led me to the conclusion that the list is actually pretty well optimized right now. So as always, guys, thanks very, very much for watching. Please let me know all your thoughts. Check out this link to my Patreon page if you'd like to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. That's another way of supporting the channel. And yeah, tune in the next video where I'll have more news about developments with this extremely fun, extremely aggressive new Simic Merfolk build that I've been working on. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.